All right, here we go. My name's Jeff K, and you're listening to episode 356 of the world-famous West Virginia Surf Report podcast.
Hello, world.
Have you noticed that people just use profanity all the time now? It didn't used to be that way. I mean, people always use profanity, but not like at work generally, or at work dealing with customers generally. You know, like in a retail setting or at a fast food restaurant. Generally, the employees didn't just openly use profanity, you know, in front of the customers, and vice versa. There was a certain level of decorum, it feels like. Recently, I'll give you two examples. Obviously, you guys know, I'm no prude. It doesn't bother me all that much. I just find it fascinating how society and how the culture changes over time, because none of this would fly go back to the 80s, 90s, you know. But two instances just recently in the last couple weeks, I was like, what the people, any decorum at all, you know? So one time, the first one, okay, I went in to, my boss sent me on a little errand. I had to go to Sam's Club and pick up some stuff for the office. So I went over there. I tried to tie it in. I was going to get a couple of their delicious hot dogs. Yeah, I don't need any lectures. I know those things are loaded with sodium and nitrates, or so I don't even know what nitrates are. I know they're loaded with all kinds of bad stuff. It's just a tube of delicious badness. So, but anyway, I was going to do that. I was going to tie the two of them together. I had to go to lunch anyway. So I timed it so that I went over there when I was going to usually have my lunch. I was going to get 2 hot dogs and a soda, and then I was going to do my errand, go in there and shop and get my stuff, the stuff that we need, right? And there's a reason why I get sent on these excursions, but I won't get into that right now. But anyway, so I went over there and I went to the cafeteria, the cafe part. And I went up there and I was ordering. I ordered 2 hot dogs. I placed my order, and there was some girl there, and she goes, "We ain't got no hot dogs." I said, "What?" So what do you mean? I've never heard of this before. Isn't this like the entire cafe is built around these hot dogs? That's what their whole thing is. You know, we have that $1.50 hot dog special. Costco too, both of them do the same thing, and it's like that's the thing that the entire cafe at those places is built upon. That's the foundation. It's built on those $1.50 hot dog combos. I've never encountered any situation where they didn't have any, right? Ever. And I've been buying hot dogs at these places for decades. Goes back. All right. So I go in there and I said, "No, I'll order." She goes, "We don't have any hot dogs. We ain't got no hot dogs." I said, "What do you mean?" She pointed to this guy. She goes, "Now listen to this. This is a direct quote." She goes, that motherfucker over there bought all the hot dogs." I'm like, what the? First of all, it's a couple of what does. And I looked over, and there's some guy, some schlub over there. His body is shaped like a teardrop. Just standing there with his arms straight down, with no expression on his face, just standing there, just a stereotypical schlub. She goes, "He bought almost 20 hot dogs. That's all we had left. We don't have any more." And I look back there. Some woman back there had the buns all spread out on top of the hot dog thing, and she's like putting hot dogs into every bun. He bought every one of them, almost 20 of them. And then the other what the? Well, first of all, what circumstance would make a person just come in there and purchase every hot dog Like everyone they have. Like why? What is the? I mean, I should have talked to the guy. I should have recorded him, put him on the podcast. I don't. And what if you're going to do something like that? Don't you call ahead, right? God. So that's the first what the. The second what the. That motherfucker over there bought all the hot dogs. She works at Sam's. She's an employee. I'm 60. I'm an old man. I come in there and she's just like using profanity, just all willy nilly. Like I said before, I don't care about that. I'm not that much. Or did I say that before, or did I just think it? I mean, it's not. It doesn't offend me. I just don't understand how things change over the long haul. And I don't see how that's a positive. How's that a positive? But anyway, so that was number one, right? What do you think about that? I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but God. What would lead a guy to buy 20 hot dogs with no call ahead? You got to call ahead. You got to say, I'm going to come in there and I'm going to buy a bunch of hot dogs. Can you accommodate me? That's what you do. That's what a human being does. Right? You don't just show up and just clean out the entire thing. Then the whole foundation of the cafe, it's teetering. That I know they sell pizzas and stuff like that. That's no good. That's not the foundation. It's teetering. That thing could fall over, collapse. All right. The second one, when we were at that Trogs Brewing down in Hershey with Toney's sister. Whew, yeah. I talked about that on the Patreon episode, I think. If you're not a patron, then you missed it, because that was a good one, I think. Anyway, so we went to Trogs Brewing Company down in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And it was a 2-hour trip, but it was fun. It was a good day. And so I was they have this tasting room / restaurant. It's huge. Place was packed. It was so loud. Everybody's in there talking, drinking. This is like late afternoon. I mean, this isn't at night. It's probably like 3 o'clock in the afternoon or something. People are in there. The place is just pandemonium and loud roar of people. And it's huge, and the ceilings are really tall, and it's just loud and everything. It's crazy. So we were getting ready to leave, and nobody came and gave us a bill or anything. I mean, they took our credit card when we went in, so we're running a tab. So there's no you're not going to dine and dash in there. Not that we ever would anyway, but if we'd have left, I assume they would have just charged the credit card, and I assume they probably would have put like a 25% tip on there. That's probably written in the small print. But anyway. I was like, is there somebody? Is there a waitress or a waiter in this place I can pay? I like to pay my bill when we're getting ready to leave. So I went and I found this girl, a woman, and I said, who can I pay? I'd like to pay. She goes, I can take care of you. I said, all right, thanks. So she takes out a cell phone, and she goes, what's your last name? I told her, and she goes, okay, I got you. She goes, oh, I like that shirt. I had a T-shirt on. It had like a pint of beer on it. It's a green T-shirt that has a pint of beer on it. I wore that because I was going to a brewery. It's a theme dress. I do a lot of theme dressing. So she goes, oh, I like your shirt. I said, oh, thanks, appreciate that. She goes, fuck yeah. Like, what the hell's this? Everybody's just dropping F-bombs everywhere you go, everywhere, like you're in the service industry. And people are just like dropping F-bombs just in a casual manner. Whatever. I mean, like, I don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't bother me, but it just seems weird. It just seems like something's changed. I don't know. You just use profanity anywhere, at any time. She's an employee there. Fuck yeah. Okay. All right, whatever. That was a fun day. If you live anywhere within driving distance of the Trogs Brewing Company and you like beer and craft beer and all that stuff, I highly recommend it. It was voted recently as the top brewery tour in America by, I think it was USA Today. So it's fun. It's really good. We had a blast there. It was fun. So anyway, what do you think about that? Or do you encounter just casual profanity everywhere you go, just with employees of businesses. Whatever. Hey, whatever. Let's see, what's next on my list? I was going to talk to you about, I was talking to, I don't know, who was it? Toney, probably. Or maybe it was the older boy. I think it was the older boy. We were talking about these grade school kids, people you went to grade school with that kind of, they were there, and then suddenly they were not there anymore. They were just part of the, they were part of the whole school. They were your classmates, and they were there day in and day out, and then suddenly not there anymore. Nobody knows anything about them. They're just gone. Nobody knows where they went. They were just there one day, gone the next. It seemed like there was a lot of that in grade school. I don't know. It didn't really seem to happen that much later on in my school career. But it seemed like there was a lot of that going on when I was in grade school. There would be kids there. They were just a classmate, just one of the many classmates, and then suddenly not there anymore. And then 5 years later, you're like, oh my God, remember that guy? And there's usually those kind of kids, there's one thing that you remember about them. There's like a specific thing that you remember about them. And it's usually, I don't know, maybe, I can only speak from my point of view, but it's usually not something that they would probably like to be remembered for. But that's what I remember them for. Maybe I'm being a little unkind. But anyway, so I had 3 of them written down that I remembered. And the first one, there was this kid. His name was William. I'm not going to say his last name. I don't know where he is, what happened to him. But we're in, I don't know, like 4th grade, 3rd grade, something like that. One day he sneezed. This is what I remember. Okay, when I remember this guy, this is what I remember about him. All right? This is his legacy in my mind. He's one of those kids that was there and then wasn't there. This guy, one day he sneezed, and a long rope of snot came out of his nose. I think it was his right nostril, if I'm remembering correctly. It came a long rope of snot came out of his nose, and it hung all the way down, almost to the ground. It was from his nose, nearly touching the floor, right? And then suddenly he just snorted it. He snorted it, and it went screaming back into his nose hole, like those what do you call those things? What do you call them? God, like a tape measure, when the tape measure comes flying back in, you know what I mean? That's what it was. It was like went sucked right back up in there, just at a high rate of speed. This is what I remember about this guy. His whole entire life, that's his legacy in my mind. In my mind, when I think about this guy, he's lived. I don't know if he's still alive. I have no idea. But if he's still alive, he's about 60 years old, and that's the one thing I remember about him. That's the only thing. That's about the only thing I remember about this guy. That he sneezed a giant snot rope, and then he sucked that thing back up like a tape measure. All right, is that fair? I don't know. Another one. This kid named Jeff. His name was Jeff. Because back in those days there was a lot of Jeffs. There's no new Jeffs. They're not making any new Jeffs, but that's a subject for another. Anyway, his name was Jeff, and he was in 1st grade. He was in 1st grade, maybe 2nd grade, and then he disappeared. One of those ones that just disappear. And he one day in our elementary school, it was back in those days. This is, I don't know what year. What year was I in elementary school? 70 or something. I mean, it was like a modern school. It was one of those more modern in 1970. The modern in 19. So each classroom had its own little bathroom in it. So each classroom had a small, just had a toilet and a sink in there and a mirror. And it was each class had one of those. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you probably had the same thing. All right, so one day we were in class, and we're just doing whatever we're doing, and then the door the door of the bathroom comes open, and that Jeff kid, like sticks his face through the crack. He just opens it a little bit, and he goes, "Teacher, will you wipe me?" And the whole class just erupted in uproarious laughter. And that's whatever. He's 60. He's probably like 60 years old, and he's had experiences. He's probably done many things. He had many life experiences, accomplishments, probably heartaches, peaks and valleys. And that's the only thing I remember about him. That's his legacy in my mind. "Teacher, will you wipe me?" Like, what the? I think she did. I think she took care of the wiping. Woo! All right. And then the next one, I don't know if it's grade school or what. It was when we were in we had something called minor league. It was a baseball league before Little League. I guess that was grade school. There was this kid named Mike, and his head was so big they had to order a special batting helmet for him. That's for the guy's like you say. I mean, like I said before, had many ups and downs, adventures, probably relationships. He's had heartaches. He's had wins. He's had losses. The only thing I remember about him is his head was so big they had to order a special batting helmet for him because it was the batting helmets that everybody else used could not accommodate that big melon head that he had. His name was Mike. So those are the three I had written down. There's probably more. Do you have any people like that? Like elementary school kids who just disappeared and you remember some ridiculous thing about them? The only thing you can remember about them is that ridiculous thing. Or am I just the weird one? I don't know. If you do, call me up. Tell me about it. I want to hear. I love these kind of stuff. I love that kind of stuff. So, help me out. The other day I was talking to my brother on the phone, and he was in his van. He was dropping his son off for guitar lessons. And his son opens the side door of the van to get the guitar out, I guess. And I heard this clang, 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 clang. Sounded like stuff shattering and stuff. I said, "What the shit was that?" And he goes, "A bunch of coffee mugs fell out the side of the van. A bunch of coffee mugs fell out of the van." I said, "Coffee mugs? What the?" He drinks coffee. He doesn't use a travel mug. He tells me he takes an actual coffee mug and drinks coffee on his way to work every day. It has no cover on it. Like, how do you not slop it all over yourself? How do you not hit a bump and the stuff just goes flying all over the windshield down into the heating vent? How's this? He says, "I can do it." So he drinks these every day. He takes a cup of coffee, a mug of coffee out to his van, drives to work, and then just throws the mug in the back of the van. And he opens the thing up, and a bunch of them are cascading out and crash, like busting on the sidewalk. I'm like, good God. And then, we continued talking, and 30 minutes later, he came back out. His son came back out, Alex, came back out and opened the van again. A bunch more fell out. I was going, "What?" I said, How many do you have in there? What? How many's in there? Why are they falling out?" And he's like, "I don't know, probably every one I own." I was like, good Lord. And then when he drove off, he drove over him. You could hear him crunching underneath. I was like, God, man, that's unbelievable. I thought that was hilarious. My brother also insists on that. When I was talking about stand-up comedians the other day, and I gave you my list of people that I've seen, which was Steve Martin, George Carlin. No, I'm sorry. That's the George Carlin. Steve Martin, Jay Leno. I don't know. I gave you the list of the people. And I said, I've never seen George Carlin. He goes, and my brother said, "Yeah, you have. You went with me to see George Carlin in Greensboro." And I was like, "Are you sure about that? Because I don't remember anything about it." Yes, you definitely were there. How can I not remember that? either he's mistaken, or I can't imagine myself not remembering seeing George Carlin at all. I mean, having no recollection of it at all. I mean, sometimes they're like I went to many shows when I lived in Atlanta, and it's not something like I'll think of a band or something. I'm like, oh, I saw them at Center Stage or something, something like that. I totally forgot about that. But I remember going to the show, but it's not something it's in the front of my mind, I don't remember seeing George Carlin at all. At all. And he insists you and I went to this show in Greensboro, and you were definitely there. I don't know what to say about that. I don't know. I don't remember seeing him. I don't remember seeing him, but maybe I did. I don't know. It's crazy. Let's see what else. Yeah. Let me check this thing out. Remember I told you guys that Toney's windshield wipers would not work, and I ended up me having to go pick up her sister at the airport. I don't know if that was in a Patreon episode or what, but she was supposed to pick up her sister last week at the airport at 10:30 at night, right? And that day she was somewhere, Toney was driving, and her windshield wipers wouldn't work. And it was raining, obviously. And she was like, I don't feel comfortable driving to the airport because it's supposed to be raining off and on all night. I don't want to feel comfortable driving to the airport with these windshield wipers. Something wrong with them. And I said, okay, I'll drop. I'm at work, but I'll pick her up on. I drive right by the airport on my way home, so I picked her up. All right, so she took the car. She took her car to a garage to have it checked out, see what the hell's going on with the windshield wipers. And they said that it looks to them like they had been tampered with, that somebody had gone in there and unscrewed the screws, loosened them completely, and they would not work. It looked like, they said that it looked like it was done on purpose. Said that there's no way that they could have backed out like that. What the hell's that? What do you think about that? I mean, who would go to all the trouble of doing something like that? And what is the point of it? I mean, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know if I could, that's kind of freaky. I don't know if I believe it. And but it's possible, of course. But who would do something like that? That's kind of stupid. Like, some teenager wouldn't do that. A teenager would, like, throw eggs at your car or something like that. Or something like that. They wouldn't go to the lengths of that, where they would, unscrew screws on your windshield wipers, right? Am I wrong about that? You ever heard anything like this before? That's mind-boggling. And the older boy's like, oh, we got to put up cameras, because this is ridiculous. He's like freaking out about it. He wants to put cameras up. And I said it could have happened when she was at work. Who knows? I don't know. What do you think about that? I'm skeptical about it. But, he said there's no way. There's absolutely no way that those things could have backed out on both sides, the windshield wipers. No way, I don't know. That's a bizarre one. That's a mystery. I don't understand that. If you guys have anything on that, if you have any thoughts on that, let me know. All right, we're at the end of this. We do have 2 calls. And I want to play those for you right now. These came in over the Surf Report hotline, and the first one is from Jill, first time caller as far as I know, and here it is.
Hi, Jeff. My name is Jill. I'm calling from a small remote town in Pennsylvania. I just would like to tell you how much I enjoy your show. I am 75 years old, and my adult son, who is 52 years old, got me interested in your show. We sometimes listen together. We always try to beat each other to listening to the show, and he does not like spoilers. I try not to give any, but when the show is so good, sometimes I can't help myself. Now, in quite a few shows back, you mentioned you and Toney getting married, and you had to get a blood test. Well, no one has ever heard of that today. They think I'm making that up. But you couldn't remember the reason why you had to get the blood test. I think you passed over it kind of. Well, the reason was they wanted to make sure you weren't marrying your brother or your sister, or that you were not blood related. And my husband and I will be married 55 years in December. But we did have to get the blood test. And on another note, I get real disappointed when there's a long lull in the shows. Please try to make the shows closer together. When we wait 2 weeks, maybe, we think something happened to you, and we really care, and we just really, really enjoy your show. And I just listened to the one where you and your adult son went to the comedy show. I laughed through all that. It was just hilarious. I also like when Toney's relatives visit. I like when you visit your parents. And my son and I both especially like your food critiquing. Take care, Jeff. Happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving. Keep up the good work, my friend. Goodbye.
Awesome. That's awesome. 75 years old, listen with your 52-year-old son. How did you guys find me? How did you find this? I know you said your son turned you on to it, but how did your son? Do you have any idea how he stumbled upon the Surf Report podcast? In any case, I appreciate you guys listening. And I'm sorry that sometimes there's gaps. I try not to let that happen, but life gets away from me. It's usually work and or child related. And when I say child, I'm talking about full-blown adults, right? My kids. It's usually one of them and or work. These are the things that cause these gaps in my podcast. I do apologize that I try not to let that happen. Sometimes things get out of hand. In fact, it feels like it's been a while this time. Sorry about that. But I appreciate you guys listening. I really do. As far as the blood test goes, yeah, I don't know. You're saying it's so that you can't marry a blood relative? I can see where that would be a problem. I mean, I'm from West Virginia, so how you like that for a cheap joke? I mean, I'm from West Virginia, so we do have to guard against that kind of thing. But I think isn't there something like rubella or something that they don't want? I don't know. It feels like rubella is something they also guard against in the old days. I don't know. I guess they don't care about it anymore because they don't have people don't have to do a blood test anymore. Everybody I mentioned this to, everybody's like, what the hell? What's that for? A blood test? What is that? Why? I guess they don't care about rubella anymore. Or they don't care about you marrying your brother or your sister or whatever. I don't know. I remember having to get that blood test when I was in Atlanta when we got married, and I was worried about it. I thought they were going to find something. Every time I get blood work done, it doesn't matter what it is. Like if I have to go to the doctor, they always have you do blood work. And then they discuss it. They can just, I think they can just you can just go to the clinic, get your blood taken, and then they run a battery of tests on it. They can tell everything about you. They don't even, you don't even really need to go in at that point. I know they do that cursory listening to your heart, looking in your ears. What the hell's that? What are they doing with the ears? Like, let me shine this pointy flashlight deal in your ears. Okay, there you go. Uh-huh. Yep, take a deep breath. Exhale. Take a deep breath. It's a bunch of bullshit. It's like, I don't know what they're doing. They don't even really. Sometimes they press on your stomach. Like lay back. All right, pull your shirt up. I'm going to press on I'm going to see if I can, try not to fart on me. Thank you. I'm going to press real hard on your abdomen. All right. So anyway, but I think they can do a blood test and they can tell everything about you. They can tell if you got any kind of issues whatsoever. So every time they draw blood, I'm convinced that they're gonna find some horrible, life-changing, terrible thing in there. And even when we were getting married, which was a joyous occasion, I was like, oh God, now they got my blood. Who knows what they're gonna find in there? I was like sweating it. Not that I thought I had rubella or anything like that. I thought they were going to find something something else. And yeah. But I remember doing that. I remember that. So I don't know. I guess everything was good. I haven't heard back from them. That was in '93. I guess I'm in the clear. I don't know. But anyway, Jill, I appreciate you calling. I'm glad that you listen to the show. I'm glad you guys enjoy it. And happy holidays to you too. And congratulations on 55 years of marriage. That's awesome. I just passed 30, but you got us beat by a long shot. Hope we get, I hope we reach 55. That'll be awesome. So thank you guys, and thanks to your son as well. And, call back whenever you'd like. This next call is from Producer Zipp. Here it is.
Hey, Jeff K., this is Zip. I'm recording this while I drive, which is probably pretty reckless, but so if you hear car crashing and screaming and gunshots, it's probably related to that. But anyway, I'm calling about the stand-up comedian thing. I just edited the episode where you talked about Shane, God damn it, I can't remember, Shane Gillis. And I watch his shit online a lot, so thought it was pretty cool you went and got to see him, but I figured I'd call in about the stand-up comedians. I don't really like going to shows. You probably will freak out at this because I know you love going to music concerts. I haven't been to a music concert since the summer of 2011. I went with a friend to see Skrillex, a DJ. I don't like the crowds and the whole get in line, get out of line. There's a line at the bathroom, people pushing and shoving. Everything's expensive, it's too loud. I don't know. But anyway, so it's kind of the same thing with comedians. So I've seen, not that many. I've seen Louis C.K., Dimitri Martin. I saw a live recording of the podcast, How Did This Get Made, which has Jason Mantzoukas and it had Nick Kroll as the guest, if you know who those are. I don't know, does that count as like seeing comedy in person? Anyway, who gives a shit? But the best comedian I ever saw in person was, you might not even know who he is. His name's Lavelle Crawford. Anyway, can't talk today. Hold on, I'm in a school zone. Damn, I gotta slow down. I'm gonna hit a kid. That would not help my testimony if I ran over a child and they were able to get their hands on this audio to prove that I was operating a phone while in a school zone. But anyway, Lavelle Crawford, if you watch Breaking Bad, Saul the lawyer had the two henchmen. One of them was Bill Burr, the redheaded guy, and the other one was the giant fat black dude. That's the giant fat black dude. I took two of my friends, their birthdays are like in the same week. So I took both of them to go see him when he came to Houston. And it was a real small joint, like one of those where you're actually at like tables so you can like hear the plates because we ate dinner while we watched him. I'm talking people falling out of their chairs, literally like rolling around on the ground, having to catch your breath. I mean, he tore the place down. So if you haven't seen any Lavelle Crawford stuff, now I feel stupid that I'm saying, I might be saying his first name wrong, but who gives a shit? Anyway, Lavelle Crawford, look him up. I think you might enjoy him. How do I turn this thing off? Hold on. Probably should wait until I hit a red light. Okay, here we go.
You haven't been to a concert, Zip, since 2011, and it was a DJ? Ugh, no way. You like that kind of stuff, that DJ stuff? Where the guy's just pressing a button and dancing, wearing a stupid hat? I don't know. I don't know about that. I understand. I mean, I'm old. I get, it feels like you got there a little bit before me. But I also, when I think about going to a show sometimes, well, this is the way it works. Like, I see a notification that some band or some artist that I like is coming to town or coming somewhere that's close enough that I can drive to. I'm like, hell yeah, I got to go to that. I got to go to that, And we go buy tickets. We buy tickets, and I'm excited about it. And, it's all, visions, beautiful visions inside my head of how it's going to be, how much fun it's going to be. Then it gets time, It comes time to actually go to the show. And especially if it's in Philly. I'm like, oh, God. I drive all the way down there. I got to deal with that stupid-ass traffic. That place, have you ever spent time in Philadelphia? I don't know what the hell. The place is like laid out from back when Ben Franklin was around. It's the same roads, I guess. I mean, it's just not. It's not set up for like massive traffic. It's a big city. It's hard to get around in. All the roads are tiny, narrow. Many of them are one-way streets. And there's no parking. The parking is expensive if you can find it. It's just a gigantic hassle. So, when it's in abstract, when it's like, 2 months or 6 months from now, you're like, hell yeah, it's going to be fun. I can't wait to go to that show. It's going to be fun. And then it becomes like, we're going tomorrow. Like, oh, God. I thought of driving down there on the turnpike, dealing with that stupid Schuylkill Parkway, which is like, oh God, if you know, you know, as they say on the internet. If you know, you know. That thing's a disaster. You could just end up in a fiery ball on that thing. It's terrible. And it's trafficky and anyway. So and like I say, it costs $25 to park. And it's like you're blocks away. In a terrible neighborhood. It's just not. The show itself is always good, generally, but I understand. I have the same feelings. It's just like it's not worth it. The day before, you start having these thoughts of it's not worth it. But you don't even. Apparently, you don't even the 6 months out. You're already like it's not worth it. Screw it. I'm not going. I don't know. Some people are. I mean, it's just not. Not everybody's into the same thing. That's all there is to it. I've always loved music, and that's one of my things. So I endure it. I'm an old man now, but I still go sometimes. Not like I was in Atlanta. No way. I was going to stuff all the time. I go like 2, 3, 4 shows a year, something like that. I got to keep my one toe in there. But I've never been to a DJ. No way. You were talking about stand-up comedians you've seen, and you mentioned Louis C.K. Good stuff. But Lavelle Crawford, was not familiar with him. After I listened to your message, I did go on YouTube, and I pulled up a little clip from him doing stand-up where he's talking about Chick-fil-A versus Popeyes. And I have to admit, I was dying laughing. It was hilarious. He's funny, And I remember him on Breaking Bad, but I didn't really know he was a stand-up. Bill Burr's on there too, stand-up. They just like hire these stand-ups on there. It's good stuff. But anyway, that was great. If I had a chance to see a full show, I'd be down with that. He seems very funny, very good, and I can see how that could be a great night out. Lavelle Crawford, excellent. Thanks for the tip, and thanks to Zipp and thanks to Jill for calling. I appreciate you guys calling in. And if the rest of you would like to call in, you can do it too. The number 570-290-8151. Is that right? Yeah. 570-290-8151. Call around the clock. Ask a question. Make a comment. What have you? Suggestion, whatever. Whatever you want to do. It's out there. The hotline is out there for your usage. Also, if you want 2 of these episodes a week instead of a measly one, Patreon.com is your place to take care of that business. Patreon.com/JeffK. That's where you can sign up for a $4 or more monthly donation. You'll get an extra episode of the podcast every week. Not every once in a while, not every month. That's for suckers. Every week. Well, every week, as Jill mentioned, every week that I have a new episode on the main network, there's always an episode on Patreon, an extra episode on Patreon. So I try for every week. You know, every once in a while I slip up. Life gets away from me. But it's an extra episode every week. Let's put it that way. Patreon.com/JeffK. And surfreportpod.com is the website for the podcast. I got some photographs over there and links and, what have you. Some expanded show notes. So check that out too. And we're at the end of this thing. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Until next time, which will be over on the Patreon side, I hope you guys have yourselves a fine, fine day. I'll see ya. Bye. Teacher, will you wipe me?